From extreme weather to coastal erosion and sea level rise, small island nations, they're on the front lines of climate change. To save their communities and their homes, they are demanding urgent action at COP28 here in Dubai. And they're using a new video campaign to help show the world of devastating impacts that their countries are facing.
When it started, the water was already inside our house.
This used to be the old culture center. This whole area was destroyed.
It was hard today to learn that you found another family member drowned.
I never thought that cyclones can do this kind of damage.
Bunker River village coastline changed drastically in 1996 to now.
We have lost over 40 lots.
Some islands in Tuvalu have actually disappeared.
By 2100, 95% of the island will be underwater by daily high tide.
Of all the risks we face, none requires more urgent action than the climate crisis.
Despite the devastation, despite significant losses, we remain hopeful. We remain united.
Though we are small, we have a big heart, and we are fighting.
Those commitments on loss and damage are absolutely critical if we are to make serious progress in saving our world.
This is the time for us to make something happen because we're all in this together. It's now or never.
Makai Robertson and Camila Rodriguez, you guys are both with the Alliance of Small Island States, and of course with everything going on, thank you so much for joining me. I know you're very busy. Camila, our first question is for you. We just showed some video that paints a pretty stark picture. Tuvalu already seeing islands disappear, with others projected to be, 95% underwater by the end of the century. So how else is global warming impacting some of these member nations?
Thank you so much, Jordan, for having us and for taking time to hear from us. I think for AOS's member states who are at the front line of climate change, it's really important that we make people understand that the impacts of climate change are really threatening our survival and also our capacity to thrive our countries. The more the science advances, the more we see just the amount of adverse effects that we're going to be experiencing as small island countries, with a lot of our member states losing most of the majority of their territory. But it's not just the physical damages or the economic damages that we would have, but all of the impacts to our ways of life, to our livelihoods, to our cultures, to the way we organize ourselves. So climate change is really threatening the core of our existence to a level that is unprecedented, and it has no comparison in any type of other ambience of organization as the international community that we are.
Well, I mean, we got to say, COP started off with a bang. On day one, Makai, this is addressed to you. That draft decision for the Loss and Damage Fund was adopted. So that's great news. So countries have started now pledging contributions towards it. I got to first ask, Makai, what was your reaction to that news?
No, it's absolutely amazing. It is obviously many years in the making. And I think now it's time for follow through, right? It's follow through, first of all, on all of those fancy pledges, but it's also follow through on the governing body for this fund to get money, as Camilla was highlighting, to those who need it the most, right? Who have harm and need their harm alleviated, whether it be harm that you can quantify in dollars or harm that you face in relation to your way of life, your culture, your education, all of these other things that you face in the context of loss.
I think it is a great step forward. I think it's progress, and it's a show of commitment from the whole of international community. We are incredibly pleased with this decision. I think it's a incredible comment from first step to start the COP on. But I think this is the starting point to seeing the redressing on a lot of the damages that we're only just beginning to see. A lot of this setting the stage for the needs that we are going to start experiencing now. And we are seeing this as we are seeing loss and damage across the globe, as we are seeing increase in hurricane seasons, increase in fire season and the forest fires, but also all other types of damages. And this is just the beginning. Even in the most optimistic of scenarios, and even if we stay within 1.5 degrees of global warming, we are going to start seeing an incredible increase in losses and damages experienced across the globe. So as Mikhail was saying, this is the first step. We want to see how this gets operationalized. We want to continue seeing pledges coming in, and we want to continue seeing the work of the board of this fund sort of setting up what are the guidelines and the principles that will guide a lot of this implementation, and how we can actually access it as countries to address a lot of the harm that we are experiencing.
Because last year we kind of talked the talk, they said they would pledge this, and then finally this year, at least we're taking action. Makai, COP28 and this loss and damage fund announcement, it all really coincides with, the Frontline's video campaign that you are launching in partnership with Only One. Can I ask you what inspired it and what are your goals with it?
Yeah, no, so I think the inspiration of it is, as I said before, it is the realize the harm, the realize of impacts of all the people that we obviously advocate for, but we're also the people, right? Camilla and I are inhabitants of small island developing states, right? And we live this reality day in, day out, and we see this happening in an increasing fashion as the world continues to warm.
You could say, people would say like, listen, everybody needs to adapt. Let's just adapt to everything that's changing. But the reality is it's got to be harder for some of these small island states. So can you kind of put it into perspective of how much these nations, these islands really need it and how they're going to put the money to use?
Loss and damage is defined as what is beyond adaptation. How do you adapt to losing over half of the territory of your country? How do you adapt to having to displace peoples in the millions, as is foreseen that we will have to move away from? But how do you adapt to completely changing your ways of life? If you are communities in our countries that are fishing communities or communities that have lived off the land, how do you adapt to losing that land? We are speaking of adaptation can reach us to a certain point, and how do we prepare to some of this climate change that is bound to happen. But loss and damage really is thinking, how will we have systemic approaches to the changes that are completely changing our ways of life? And that is what we are facing as small island developing states. As Mikhail was saying, we are seeing it every day in our countries. We cannot plant the same things. We can no longer fish in the places where we used to fish. And in bigger economies where you can move perhaps in your own country or to other types of livelihoods, maybe that is adaptation. But in our economies, where that is most of what we do or all of the land that we have, adaptation is no longer able to address the magnitude of the damage that we are seeing.
Yeah, we're not there. So, you painted a great picture as to what that's like. Makai, what else do you hope to see that comes out of COP28? We started off nice, day one. What else are you hoping for the next few days?
It's just a vicious cycle, right? So we need to see, for example, the reduction of actual emissions, right? Because everything, loss and damage, is connected to the fact that we're continuing to push out to fossil fuels, carbon dioxide, and just all these emissions, these greenhouse gases that are just creating more and more loss and damage, and that makes adaptation more expensive. It makes loss and damage obviously more expensive. So the more that we make sure we limit warming to 1.5, because we as an international community have made the choice and said that the acceptable limit of warming is 1.5. But the thing is, at 1.5, you've already have vast amounts of loss and damage. But however, the trajectory you're going on is 2, 3, 4 degrees increase. And so we really do need to make sure that we stay well under 1.5 in relation to that. And we're doing that right now at this COP. with this global stock taking and trying to course correct. So seeing where we are in the context of the Paris Agreement implementation.
Well, we know your guys' campaign currently highlights 5 films. Can we ask where people can go to view these films and find out more information?
This together with the Only One team, and you can go into onlyone.com/loss and damage to find the videos. And of course, you can follow us on all of our AOSIS social media on Instagram, Facebook, and X, and Twitter as AOSIS. And please like, comment, and share. It's really important that we gather the support of the whole international community to be able to give the correct view to this issue and support to make sure that this is a successful COP, not just for the Loss and Damage Fund, but for all of the other issues that we are negotiating here this year.
Amen to that. Makai, Camila, thank you guys so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having us.